Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flourgoldwizards channel. I'm Jason, a part-time gold prospector based in Wisconsin. Right behind me there is Rigby. He's my gold sniffing hound, the world's most famous gold sniffing hound. Today we're going to test a little bit of new equipment on a spot with some really good gold. Now I've tested this before on some mediocre to crappy spots, but this spot in particular has great gold in it. Now, there are larger pieces here, and I know this piece of equipment will capture the really teeny stuff because it's got a mat in the bottom, but I want to make sure that I'm catching the larger pieces. So I'm going to do a little traditional panning just to make sure that the larger pieces are still here. Then we're going to switch gears over into my new pan and see if we can't make sure that baby is production ready. Let me show you the deposit we're working.
Yeah, there's Big Rigby right there. Yeah, he sniffs it out and I do all the digging. Tell you that. Now right here, down below Rigby, there's a really good deposit with gray clay. Now this particular body of water has gray clay and white and red and orange and all that, but I seem to do the best, especially with the larger pieces in the gray clay deposits. Now I've been classifying some material here, and you can see it's pretty mucky. There's an awful lot of clay in that stuff there. And it's coming right out of here. I let the water clear out a little bit. The current is going that way extremely slow, as you can see. There's some things floating around here. But this stuff is mixed with really nice looking cobbles down in there. And once you get under there, about 3 inches of the slop on top, there's a nice gray clay layer, and it goes down a ways. That's where the gold's hiding, at least in my neck of the woods. And this is the pan I'm talking about right here. This is my beach pan. I use this to gather up gold out of the beach. It's all black sand. You can shimmy this baby around and the gold will fall right through that black sand into this mat. But the pockets are pretty small. I'm sure you guys have all seen vortex matting before. And when you have larger material like this here, I can find some pieces of gold upwards of some of those smaller little pebbles in there. And I'm not sure if they're gonna get caught in pockets, because you gotta whittle this thing back and forth to get the gold to fall through all that material, just like that. And I just wouldn't want a big flat flake to slide right over the top of this mat. So I did a few pans of that already. I've got a couple of concentrates in there, and there is some pretty darn good gold in there. I mean, I've got it down to basically nothing, but like I said, I'm curious to know if I'm losing larger gold. So I have this whole thing filled up right here with muck, and I'm going to pan that out traditionally with my XP pan right here. I'll set up camp around here somewhere where I can maybe even sit down, because I'm 500 years old, and you only get so many bendovers in life. There is a number. So I just plunk down on this log right here. The water is deep enough to pan. I'll start taking scoops out of here. That one got me. I could probably get away with 2 scoops, I would imagine. And we'll pan through this whole bucket. Hopefully, we find something good. I know we're going to find gold, and I really do want to find some larger pieces, but that might mean that I missed them over that other pan over there. And if I start seeing some larger pieces in here regularly, well, then I guess I'll just keep that pan for the beach, because this pan is quite effective. These XP pans, most pans in fact are going to be effective. Garrett Super Sluice makes a really good pan, but the gold stands out against this blue color for me, which is one of the reasons I like to use it. And that doesn't take long, especially with classified material, to get that down to next to nothing. Yeah, and there is gold in it. Let me do a few more pans here, and we'll take a little peek at it. All right, that bucket is empty. That was a lot of panning right there. Scooping, panning, and dumping. Put all the stuff in there. Then I put all that in my pan. Here's what we wound up with for one 5-gallon pail. There it is. Let me get rid of that glare. Look at that. That's not too bad. I tell you what, for 5 gallons of material, there's some chunkier looking stuff in there.
but nothing I can feel or pick up, and no big flat flakes. So we'll just go ahead and call this test inconclusive. I'm 100% positive in my panning capabilities with a traditional pan, and anytime you don't feel 100% positive with the equipment you're using, it's always stuck in the back of your brain. And you know, I know that darn thing works, but I'm just afraid that I'm going to lose a big flat flake. So I think I'm going to chalk that thing up as my beach pan, and we'll leave it at that. So I have a sluice width today. I'm going to classify up a couple of buckets and run it up here where there's a dam I see up the ways here. And we're going to do a little bit of sluicing, see if we can't find such nugget. Right, Rigby? Yeah. But not before we have a snack. This is some really good jerky I got from the Murphy boys out in South Dakota. And as you can see, he's been really working hard, so he's going to have a snack along with me. Yeah, he needs that. He's a hard-working miner. Oh, he just dug up an eel. He's in there. There he is. A little American eel. Yeah, we'll get him back in the water. Here, go on, get out of here, yeah. There he goes. Nope, not quite yet. There, now he's gone. Yeah, you do find quite a few eels around here. Ew. All right, we've got a bucket of material ready to sluice. And if you'll notice, that is not my sluice. Rigby, who is getting up in years, forgot our sluice, didn't you? That's right. So, not Jeff Williams, Marty, let me borrow one of his. He always brings 5 or 6 sluices out to these events here. And this is one of them. The Dream Mat. It's got the micro mat up there, and then I'm not sure exactly what size that one down there is. Looks pretty big. So we'll go ahead and put a couple of slops of that on there. Yeah, and it looks like it's running pretty good. I'm not really familiar with how this stuff is supposed to run, but I do see material in there dancing around in those little pockets there. And down here it's holding on to a ton of stuff, but I guess that's what they're supposed to do. I don't know. We'll just feed this bucket on there, see if we wind up with any gold at the end. Then we'll know. Yeah. Now we're getting down there to the bottom of that there bucket. And remember before when I said you gotta have confidence in your equipment. Now, by golly, a lot of people swear by this Dream Mat, but each and every one of those little pockets right there is jam-packed with a little red or black rock. Those are the really heavy stuff in here. And you move on down here, and these things are just absolutely packed, chock full of those little rocks too. So I just don't know if it's still working or not. I don't see them jumbling around, but I'm gonna stick with it. I've got maybe a quarter of a pail left or so here. And we'll go ahead and throw another one on there. Just like that, and off it goes. I just don't know. That's driving me crazy. But if there's no gold in this thing when we clean it out, well then we'll know. Well, that whole bucket is run. I don't see any gold in there. All I see is red and black stones. So here goes nothing. Go ahead and grab this thing. Got a pail of water here. We'll do a little clean out. And it looks fairly clean. So let's get that in a pan, see what it's in there. And I'm pleasantly surprised. Well, maybe not surprised, but I'm satisfied. That's pretty similar to results right there to what we got panning. There's probably about the same amount of pieces. Nothing real big. There's a couple of them that, you know, might be a little bit bigger than their neighbors, like that one right there. But I'm happy with it.
But most important, Rigby's happy with it.
Yeah. What time is it, Rigby? 11? Ryan's here.
Overslept again.
Overslept again. Hey, Gina. Yeah. I tell you what, every time I come down here, there's more and more YouTubers. We got Carl Madley here today. He's doing a live out here.
Doing live.
He brought a satellite link over there as big as my dang truck.
Gen 1. Looks like a coffee table.
Look who we got down there a little further. It's the Glacial Gold Hunter. Dang YouTubers. There's the Glacial Gold Hunter's bucket and his last cleanup. I just dumped about a quarter gram of gold in there. He has no idea. So, at the end of the day, I do feel confident in the equipment I was using. Like I said before, I'm going to leave that other pan for the beach. I can do darn near just as fast with this here pan right here as I can with that one, but I'm 100% confident with this. And I didn't have anything against the Dream Mat. I just never used it a whole lot, but I do feel confident in using it. Most mats you bring out here will work. Some mats, you know, I wouldn't bring out here if there was really large flat pieces, like say a sawtooth mat or something. But most of the gold here is all fine gold. And this worked fine. Deep V mat works fine. VDR, you know, all kinds of stuff does. But confidence in your equipment and your strategy, that'll make your whole day a lot better. And I enjoyed today, and I hope you guys did too. Rigby sure did. So, until the next episode, Flourgoldwizards out.